I run across that chant and all sorts of things that I read about and listen to. It's been used so beautifully for so long in gathering and in the desire to step into truth and step into light and step into the eternal nature that we are. Just love that chant. I remember when I remember my first, this is so silly, but one of my first times that I sat with Sadhguru, there were two of us that were sitting with him, and he asked us to chant that. And I didn't, he was chanting with us, but I had no idea what it was. But they were chanting it at Isha regularly. So presumably we should have known it, but we didn't because we were somewhat new, but really just not paying that much attention yet. And he starts chanting it. You can't really fake Sanskrit like you know it. And Jill and I look at one another, we're like, oh my God, this is awful. We didn't know how long it was going to go on. We were like, this is, but then I promptly learned it. So that was that. What that guru will do to you for you on your behalf. Yeah. So today I want to talk about grace today because I was pondering grace recently and thinking that my subconscious and my conscious mind immediately goes to, in grace, goes to God, that it's something that is bestowed upon one or a group or what or a situation that is kind of it's a blessing. And then I was thinking, is there more to it than that it's just a blessing? That is it also something that I can cultivate the ground for grace so that it isn't that it comes more often from somewhere, but it goes through me. And how would I do that? And so I wanted to explore that a little bit because without overstating it, it's possible for us to imagine that we have a place in grace, that we have a responsibility in grace, that we aren't just waiting and hoping that grace comes, that we actually, if we take action to be prepared for it, we'll not only experience it, but maybe see it more often in different ways than we imagine. So I tried to take it out a little bit out of the context for myself of being bestowed, and look at how I might change things that I do that invite it in, so that I cultivate a garden for grace to seed itself in. So just looking at some of the qualities of grace, grace is free. And I was thinking, God, we can we can actually offer, when I start to look at the different qualities of grace, I can actually offer situations that may hold the cauldron for grace to drop in. So that maybe is my responsibility. So grace is an openness, and I can be that. If I remain open, I let go naturally of my ego and my judgmental or narrow-minded views, then there's a place for grace to express itself. So there's my responsibility when I'm doing that. I'm not just doing it because it's a great thing to do, which it is, but it also is perhaps allowing for something more significant and more dynamic to happen in a situation or in my life. Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda said, "The wind of grace is always blowing. You just need to spread your sail." I was like, oh, that's so yummy. When we open our hearts to one another, we allow grace to enter. So that's one of the doorways. As I looked into this and I spent time pondering it, one of the doorways is through the heart. Maybe the primary doorway for grace is through our heart, not coming in, but going out. So the flow through our heart, where do we open our hearts consciously? Somebody was just saying to me, I can't remember the conversation where it initiated, but they were talking about activating heart space every like as an awareness. So I'm with somebody or I'm anywhere, someone I know or I don't know, I'm walking through the store, I see something that I feel I could be helpful if I open my heart, that I consciously do it, whether I speak to that person or not, but that I just open my heart in that moment and say, I'm sending whatever can come through me to them. I feel like they need it. That's just becomes a rote, like a reaction that I do or a response more that I do all the time, this person said to me. And she said, it's really making a difference in my life because now I'm aware of where I'm a conduit and how I can be a participant and I feel better. And perhaps it helps, maybe it doesn't. I don't really know. But opening our heart as just a regular movement that we make whenever we feel, we sense, we see a situation, and we're inviting in grace to come through. So perhaps it's not us making the difference, it's us opening the door to the difference. That then grace has a movement, an available doorway. Maybe we have to open that door to make it as regular an occurrence as possible. Grace is relational. It's about relationships. It's not a theory. It's about relationships. How we treat others, especially in moments when we could blame or withdraw because we're annoyed or we feel disrespected or whatever's happening, that it's easy for us just to pull back. But maybe we can practice instead of pulling back, I stay where I am. I don't have to move forward, but I just open the doorway to my heart. Maybe I learned to stand in situations that heretofore I would have said, I'm not going to be treated that way, or that is so ridiculous, I'm not even going to respond to it. And instead of saying that, I understand this is so A Course in Miracles, Brenda, I know, you know, instead of saying that it's not my responsibility to step into that, I say it is my responsibility. Every single time something shows up, it is my responsibility to step up in very quiet ways and opening my heart as a visual rather than I don't have to go in and engage and have a whole conversation and say, I forgive you, or I don't have to do anything, just open my heart. Grace knows the heart. Grace is most easily touched through the heart. Grace is a form of courage. So offering it, choosing compassion over retaliation, choosing it when we could have judgment, and even, judgment that it has some warrant, but choosing to be encouraged. We are courageous women. We are warriors, and warriors choose courage before they make decisions about action. Courage is a choice. Grace arrives unearned. Somebody does not have to have had a performance and done something for me or for the world or in some way that validates they deserve to have grace. Everyone deserves to have grace. So I can offer it anywhere to anyone. I don't have to know the background. I don't have to know if what they did is right or wrong. I can offer the container for that to happen. Grace exposes our illusions of self-sufficiency because we are in a culture of I'm independent, I can handle everything on my own. And it reminds us that we are in co-creation and collaboration all the time. And until we start acknowledging that as our regular existence, we are in duality and bifurcating and doing all the things we don't want to do. Grace lets us remember that we are co-creators. We're co-creators. Grace restores dignity before it demands change. Grace restores dignity before it demands change. Really important. I can give somebody back an opportunity to have their dignity before they do the action that I wish they would do. That waiting for someone to earn it kind of just depletes the whole grace idea. So that gives me an opportunity to step into situations that I would not have stepped into metaphorically because I think they don't deserve it. I'm not going to give them that little extra. Everybody can have their dignity restored and deserves to have that opportunity to feel what that feels like, regardless of what they've done. Grace doesn't humiliate. I know none of us are humiliating people intentionally for sure, but unintentional humiliation, just feeling that we're maybe smarter than or a little more experienced than or anything that elevates us in our own mind to where we kind of separate ourselves, that is humiliation on some level. We don't humiliate if we're inviting in grace because it doesn't help. Grace relieves. It's a salve for the soul. It's a salve which we need to apply all over the place, like our castor oil. It needs to be everywhere, in the belly button, on the elbows, in the eyebrows. It needs to be everywhere because it is a very all-encompassing and penetrating energetic. Grace disrupts shame. I can't tell you how many people who come to me individually have a piece of them that is still dealing with some shame from something where they have felt unworthy, whether it was in your childhood or in your career or wherever it happens to be, but how easily the human condition absorbs the idea of shame, even when you don't think you are. And when you start to talk about it, and you go, I actually feel really badly. Actually, I am shameful. I feel shameful. Grace disrupts that whole sort of lineage of that. Shame tells us we're unworthy. Grace contradicts it with relentless acceptance. Relentless. The only way to chip away at shame is to see that we actually are accepted somewhere, somehow, through somebody. We can do that. We can do that in very sweet, simple, generous of heart ways. We don't have to make it a big, huge deal. I do think one of the most powerful ways that we impact people is not through what we say, but through how we are. Just how you are standing with someone. You don't have to say anything. They feel it, they read it. Your energy is red. It's either red neutral, negative, or positive. It's red, it's felt. Grace is spaciousness of the heart. It's been my theme for the year, spaciousness, spaciousness, spaciousness. It's in every fiber of our being. It's our cells, creating the which I can never remember. I always ask Sasha for it again. And maybe, City, you can tell me. There's a German word, apparently, that means the space between things. It's a little like a nuanced word. She told me once, and maybe it's a word that she kind of coined. I don't really know. But I love this word because when you enter into that space between thoughts, between actions, between judgments, between everything. Everything is contained in that little space. Everything. That's the spaciousness that we're looking for. It's not literal spaciousness. It's an opening like a breath. It's like the pause between the inhale and the exhale. It's that spaciousness. It's almost unnoticed, but when we cultivate it, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's in that. Grace is in that place. So we're carrying it with us all the time. All the time. Grace quiets the inner critic. Again, if we're in shame or we're in judgment of ourselves, grace quiets the inner critic, which needs to be quieted. We practice self-acceptance. We practice self-acceptance when we are experiencing grace. And grace allows us to start again. Forgiveness is the cornerstone of grace, perhaps. Because then when we offer forgiveness in the tiniest of ways to ourselves and to the world and to others, we open up the possibility of something else. When we don't initiate the notion of forgiveness, we close things down. Even unintentionally, even when we feel it's wholly deserved that I don't forgive you for what you've done. It's like grace travels on two parallel paths. One is the path of maybe what is true, that whatever was done is really unforgivable on some level, but there's still forgiveness. That's the other path. There still is forgiveness. That's the path that all the traditions teach. In the deepest way, the most profound way, what Jesus showed what forgiveness looks like. And grace, finally, in closing for that, grace builds community. Because grace handles imperfection. And a community without grace doesn't have the opportunity to be in its own little movement of growth. It needs to be, everybody's got to be tidy and say the right thing and show up in the right way and all of that. That's not what we're trying to build. We're trying to build a community with grace, which allows for imperfection. Because we receive one another exactly as you are with whatever it is that you're bringing with you. Do you want help to maybe make changes? Great, super. But we don't make a prejudgment that because you have these things that you're dealing with that are a part of your life, that you somehow aren't perfect enough to be part of community. So this week, take the opportunity to imagine just periodically throughout your day. Let's set our alarms and remember if we can remember what we're setting them for. To be in grace, to say, I'm inviting in, I'm co-creating, I'm part of this action of grace. I'm not sitting and waiting for it to be bestowed upon me by some wonderful deity that's somewhere in the world, in the cosmos, in the universe. That may be true, and I may get that kind of grace, which may feel different, but I can have human grace, and I can offer the cauldron for that collaboration to help and to come in and to be a assistance of some sort. So let's see how that works. Let's see if we can retrain ourselves to be a cauldron of grace. For the holidays, I think it's a really wonderful gift that we give to everyone around us and ourselves.
Thank you, sweetie. So let's gracefully get off the chair. Come to a standing position. So I will share some movements for the brain. They're all extremely simple. Especially the first one, it's for the 5 brain waves that we want to activate. So the most important thing in the first one is that you're not really doing, that you're just allowing your body to move. So you will have your arms hanging by your side. You see that everything is as relaxed as possible. Your toes pointing slightly towards each other. So slight pigeon toes. Now you soften your knees. So you bend your knees just slightly. And the only thing you do is you move your knees up and down. And you allow the body to follow. So I invite you to close your eyes. And just move your knees gently up and down. I never really straighten my legs or my knees. So they're just slightly bent. And I just allow to start to shake. Open your mouth on the exhalation. So you inhale through your nose and you exhale through your open mouth. Longer, see that everything is relaxed and loose. Good, and now just stand still. You can keep your eyes still closed or open them. Just allow the energy flow to happen. This will be a great exercise to do to balance your brain waves, and wonderful to do it for 10 minutes a day, if you liked. Yeah, 5 will do too. Good, we all open our eyes. We bring our hands into the Pran Mudra, tip of your thumb to ring finger and pinky, index and middle fingers are extended. You keep this mudra, so my lower arms are touching my body. I still have slight pigeon toes. Now I want to work the circulation in the chest, because that circulation allows for oxygenated blood into the brain. So, and a lot of brain issues have to do with that there's a depletion in oxygen in our brain. So we inhale to the left. So what I'm not doing, I'm not using my hips a lot. I see that I just twist my torso so my hips stay as straightforward as possible. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. All breath through the nose now. We do 3 minutes. Then we come to center. We're releasing the mudra, palms facing forward. Take a moment to integrate. Inhale nose, exhale open mouth. The problem in these times is that we use our brain actually too much. At the university, we discovered that people that are really great thinkers and think a lot and ponder a lot, and that they suffered dementia and Alzheimer's first. Their brain was overworking. So that's why meditation, times that we take out, not thinking, just being, is so important, because the brain needs it. And the sleep, especially the sleep, because at night your brain is active, it detoxes. If you have a good night's sleep, your brain will function better. So always remember that. Ensure that you go to bed at a good time so that you get your hours in. Okay, so now we crisscross. So now we activate left and right hemisphere of our brain. If the legs and arms is too much, use just the arms. You cross and back. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. If you feel you're unstable, please just move across your arms. That's fine. Every time you cross the legs or the arms in front of your body, you activate the opposite brain side in your brain. Powerful breath. We do one more minute. All the exercises for the brain are actually very simple. The brain needs like these activating exercises, it needs balance exercises. We have done those before. Stretching. Knee health, hip health. Is also crucial for our brain health. Good, and come to center, palms facing forward again. Take a moment in your nose. Exhale, open mouth. So I show the posture that I think most of you can do, but if you feel unbalanced, please be careful. Then I'll also show a modification. You inhale, your palms will touch overhead. Exhale, you bring your right heel up behind you and you touch it with your left hand. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. If this doesn't work for you because you feel like, you could trip or fall, then you just touch opposite knee. That might be easier. Yeah, so find what's working for you. So we do one more minute. Little more, come on, 15 seconds. Good, and relax, palms facing forward. Inhale, nose, exhale, open mouth. And so we activated the brain waves, the circulation, got oxygenated blood to the brain. We work the left and the right hemisphere. Now we work the brainstem. This is the last thing we do, and only for a minute. So the brainstem is right here in the back of your neck. It actually fires up the brain. So I want you to move your head in all directions. Allow your head to be as loose as possible. Your head don't go into a pattern. See that you move it in different ways. Imagine this, it's like a pea-size little gland up there. The brain stem. Just shake it so that it can fire up again. Just for a minute. Everyone can do this. You can do this close to everywhere in between. See if you get into a pattern, then get out of it. Find new ways to move your head. Last 15 seconds. Good, and then come to center, take a moment. Again, inhale, nose, exhale, open mouth. Good, and then gently open your eyes. Come sitting. Find your position. Close your eyes. Now allow the sound, the M especially, to penetrate into your brain. Akandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena. Sorry, that was not our chant. It was also a nice one.
Oh.